What has followed is a regime under Raul Castro that has begun to solidify its party institutions and its power. It is a scenario that caught both this government and our community off guard. We were unprepared for the slow descent of one Castro brother and the measured ascent of another, equally loath to allowing Cubans to exercise even their most basic freedoms. Senator, whether it is yourself or Senator McCain, who is the next President of the United States, Cuba will be facing a crucial turning point in the society they wish to construct. Today, the island contains the ingredients of a great success story alongside the elements of potential failure. While this is today's sad reality, we are firm in our hope and belief that everything is possible, that the Cuban people will once again be able to live up to their God-given potential. As an institution whose hallmark has been its ability to think pragmatically and innovatively, we believe that two basic beliefs should govern our future actions. One, that the status quo is unacceptable, and two, that the change will come from within Cuba. I want to make reference to what the current administration claims to be the centerpiece of U.S.-Cuba policy, quote, aid to the Cuban people. It is unfortunate that the vehicle used to promote this policy, Section 109 of the Helms-Burton Act, created by this institution to help the opposition and their families in Cuba, has been rendered ineffective by the restrictive policies imposed by this administration. This, coupled with the obstacles placed by the Castro regime, means aid is not getting to the people of Cuba. The other centerpiece of U.S.-Cuba policy has been that there should be no negotiations and conversations with Raul Castro until, and I quote, released all political prisoners and made moves towards democracy. Although this may sound tough, on its own it's ineffective and plays into the hands of Raul Castro. I have news for you. That is not happening. Raul Castro will never engage in any democratic reforms because to do so would seal his fate. Wishful thinking with our arms crossed as spectators with no timetable, hoping for the reformation of Raul Castro is not a policy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is surrender. We at the Cuban American National Foundation have a new vision for a new time. We would ask you, Senator Obama, if elected, to adopt changes to the current policy that would help facilitate the democratic transition we all desire. One, to allow direct, substantial, and unfettered aid to Cuba's dissidents, changing the rules that today ironically make it impossible to send cash aid to Cuba. Two, that we engage the democratic forces, including those in the military and civilian government, who do not want to see their sons and daughters forced to hold a rifle and yell socialism or death. They need to know that they can count on the protection of the United States and are the key figures in undermining the current regime's hold on power. Three, we need to rebuild our intelligence capabilities in Cuba, which have been dismantled over the last decade, leaving our nation's security vulnerable and depriving us of the information we need that could truly help the opposition movement on the island. And four, today, we depend on foreign diplomats and foreign nations to send aid and assistance to Cuba. While we are grateful for their efforts and support, this is a responsibility that should fall on the shoulders of Cuban Americans. We call on the lifting of the 2004 restrictions on travel and remittances by Cuban Americans, removing the handcuffs that have prevented us from becoming active participants in destabilizing the regime's hold on power. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Raul Castro's greatest fear. Senator, these policies are specific, tangible, and effective, but most important, can all be done by executive order. Senator Obama, this is not a request only from the exile community, but from our brothers and sisters on the island. And I want to present to you today some victims. With us today is Hector Palacios Ruiz, one of the 75 prisoners of conscience arrested during Cuba's Black Spring and sentenced to 25 years in prison. His wife, Gisela Delgado Sablon, one of the founders of the Ladies in White and executive director of Cuba's independent libraries. Julio Valdez Guevara, sentenced to 20 years in prison, is here with his wife, Cruzdelia Aguilar, and their 6-year-old son and his sister, who is also a member of the Ladies in White. We also have with us Leonel Morejon Almagro, attorney, a former prisoner of conscience, and founder of Concilio Cubano. We also have with us Elizabeth Pruneda y Susana Alvarez, wife and daughter of political prisoner Pedro Pablo Alvarez and members of the Ladies in White. Senator, these are the individuals that have to have a seat at the table when the future of Cuba is being discussed. It is for them that we owe it to them that they have that place at that table. Senator Obama, you have used a phrase in your campaign that resonates well within this community and with all Americans because it is a message of hope and empowerment. Yes, we can. It's a call to action that our brothers and sisters in Cuba have begun to heed. You see it in the wives of political prisoners who hold peaceful sit-ins in Revolutionary Square. You see it in the brave writings of a young Cuban blogger that writes about the hopes and aspirations of a generation to breathe free, and in the thousands of signatures collected by activists petitioning the government for reforms. Today, we stand here, Senator, full of hope for Cuba's future, reinvigorated by their efforts and bravery, and renewed in our commitment to provide light and hope and lift the veil of darkness that envelops over Cuba. Together as the most powerful nation on earth, coupled with the dynamic fire of the exiled community and the bravery of the opposition movement in Cuba, we will prevail. This has been a long road for our people, Senator, but we have never forgotten that our goal, freedom, is great enough to justify the effort for that journey. Faith is hope. May God bless us all, and may God bless America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Courage and leadership. Senator, 25 years ago this week, President Ronald Reagan addressed the Cuban American National Foundation and the hopes and aspirations of our nation to be free. We are here 27 years later, not giving up hope. Over a dozen heads of state have stood at this podium and addressed this great institution. We are a forum for ideas. We are a forum for debate. We are a forum because Cuban Americans believe in the democratic principles and the art of debate that today our brothers and sisters in Cuba take for granted. I honor your courage, recalling a conversation we had not too long ago about talking to our community, about talking to the people in Cuba. And again, with a warm South Florida welcome, I'd like to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Senator Barack Obama.